What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So, before I get into this video, shout out to the Queen, Juanetta Thomas. This is belated, but I saw your Cash App donation last night. Thank you for your big donation to the channel. Much respect to you, the Queen, Juanetta Thomas. All right? If anybody wants to donate to the channel, you can do so in the links in the description box below, either the PayPal or the Cash if you want to show love to this channel. And if you want to jump to the Patreon, I think there's almost 170 people signed up right now. I'm going to upload some Patreon videos today. If you want to sign up to the Patreon, it's only $2 per month. On the Patreon, we will talk about stuff I'm able to talk about subject matters in a way that I can't on YouTube. And I do take requests for the Patreon. And how I take requests is either through comments on the Patreon or comments to me directly through my Facebook page. But then again, I don't really put that out there like I used to. So either through my Patreon page or here on YouTube, if you intend to sign up for the Patreon. All right. So now that I got that out the way, at about 5 p.m. today, as he clears waivers, Laker fans throughout the LA area, throughout California, throughout the United States, worldwide, and of course, the secret and not so secret Laker fans in the media will all bust their collective nuts as King Andre Abdul Chamberlain is expected, according to Adrian Wojnarowski and Shams Charania, and once they verify that it's a done deal, King Andre Jabbar Chamberlain will sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. And shout out to Ticket TV because it's funny. Because me and him think alike on a lot of things. I was thinking this last night myself when when I'm seeing all of these articles written about Drummond and seeing the hype on TV with Drummond coming to the Lakers, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, why are they hyping this dude like he's the man? I mean, first of all, I get it, and I understood with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a cornerstone type player for a franchise. Anthony Davis is the type of player that will improve your team just by his addition to the roster. You know what I'm saying? We've seen what he's done since he's come to the Lakers. The Lakers have gone from, although injuries just play a part of it, a team with LeBron, but a team not even making the playoffs, to a team winning a championship. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, when he signed with that coin flip, either he was going to the Phoenix Suns, who was a new franchise in the late 60s, or the Milwaukee Bucks, who were a new franchise. He went to Milwaukee. The year before he got there, Milwaukee was 26, I think, and 56. He goes there, and they improved 30 wins. I think 56 wins. Okay? Will Chamberlain, the year before he signed with the Philadelphia Warriors, then Philadelphia Warriors, they weren't even in the playoffs. He gets there to improve 16, 17 wins. Even though his, saying the talent around him was not very good, he still improved that team by his very presence, averaging 38 and 27. Crazy numbers. He improved that team. Let me say this too, because I saw a video recently that was debunking Chamberlain's his impact. They were saying well, you know, he didn't pass very much, and his team's offensive ratings weren't really that good, even though he's putting up all these numbers. But first of all, it wasn't Chamberlain's own volition to sit there and score like that. That was the strategy of the coach and and the organization to utilize Will Chamberlain. Okay. Secondly, you didn't have Nikola Jokic's back then. Guys who were centers amongst the leaders in passing. Okay, so you really didn't see a lot of big men passing like that. Yeah, you did see Bill Russell doing it, but he was unique. And he only averaged 3 to 4, 5 assists a game. You know, Wilt averaging 2 assists as a center was not an aberration. They didn't pass the ball a lot back then. Their role was to score. Does anybody critique George Mikan for not passing the ball a lot? I'm pretty sure he didn't pass the ball that much either. And you're not going to rank high in scoring when your best teammates are an old ass Tom Gola and an old ass Paul Arizin. Okay, both of them who had served in the war. You know what I'm saying? And back then, when you were 35, 36, it was like you was past 40. So miss me with that bullshit and stop trying to shit on him because you don't like Will Chamberlain. It's one thing to use evidence, but don't try to use evidence to try to prove some theory because you don't like the motherfucker. Or you just don't want him to rank high because you have no respect for players in the past. In this particular video I'm talking about, you can tell he don't got respect for the past because he said apologize for using this shitty ass 60s footage. Well, fuck you stupid ass motherfucker, and pay respect to Will Chamberlain and bow down to him. He may not be the GOAT in everybody's eye, but he's one of the greats, and you will respect him, you punk ass motherfucker. All right, so let me go back to Andre Drummond. Uh, let's just look at some things, okay? Where did he go and play where he elevated that team to being a perennial playoff performer or perennial playoff team? Think about it. He's not that type of player. He's not the type of player where you can just put him on a team and they're going to go from one level to another. He's just not. I would even infer and say that Ben Wallace was better than him. Ben Wallace was just as good a rebounder, even though he was a little bit smaller, and a better overall defender. He was a better shot blocker. He was a better post defender. He was a better help defender. Um, he could guard. Uh, like Ben Wallace was the type of dude. He had quickness. He was amongst the leaders in steals. You know what I'm saying? He had quick hands, anticipation, uh, multiple defensive player of the year award. But at the same time, even as great as Ben Wallace was, he's not the type of guy that you can put on a team and just expect them to go to the finals. He still was a piece. Don't get me wrong, his influence was tremendous because he was the one that changed the identity of the Pistons. And that's why I say I would take Ben Wallace over Andre Drummond, even though Ben Wallace wasn't a scorer. Yeah, Andre Drummond will give you 18 points, and he'll give you 13, 14, maybe 15 rebounds. But it's like sometimes it's not as impactful. Like, think about it. Like, Drummond to me is the type of dude that would be more valuable in the NBA back in the 90s. You know, uh, when guys played their roles and centers were a bit more predictable. They generally just stayed in the post. If you notice, guys like Joel Embiid, right, light up Andre Drummond. They light him up. So, Andre Drummond is the type of dude, if you're like a regular DeAndre Jordan type center, he can do a good job on you. But if you're like one of these new breeds where you can face up and you can score from 20 and you're athletic and you move great from side to side, lateral quickness, Andre Drummond's gonna have problems with you, and that's increasingly more and more big men in the NBA. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, to me, he's not even on the level of Ben Wallace or Dennis Rodman, and though both of those guys didn't score. What else about Drummond? He's still not a great free throw shooter. When he came into the NBA, he was historically awful. He's improved, but isn't he still somewhere like in the like people get on Giannis, but isn't he still like Drummond? Let me see what he shot from what he's shooting from the free throw line this year. Um, so he's shooting 59.7% from the line, and last year he shot 51%, and for his career he's shooting 47%. So he's a liability at the foul line. So he doesn't give you any, you know, he doesn't give you the versatile defensive ability of Ben Wallace. He's sort of average. He gives you great rebounding. That's one thing you can't take away from him. But he doesn't give you the versatile defensive ability of Dennis Rodman or Ben Wallace to offset the poor free throw shooting. And the scoring, I mean, yeah, he gives you, you know, some buckets, but I mean, aren't those mostly like aren't half of those motherfuckers just putbacks? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not knocking him, but the way that people are hyping him up right now, Lakers Nation could be in for a big disappointment. Another thing about Andre Drummond that I know is true about him is this is a guy that has a tendency to wear down during the season. He could start off a season tremendous. He could start off a season averaging 20 points and 16 rebounds, right? I mean, low key fucking Nate Thurman numbers. And then in the second half of the season, he'll drop down to 15 and 12, like in the second half. And then he'll average, 17 and 14. And on the surface, it looked great. But in the second half of the season, he wore down. So all I'm saying is this. When LeBron and AD come back, and AD is someone you got to worry about because he's been out for so long. You wonder about how he's going to be, how his confidence going to be out there as far as making moves and what he's thinking about shit or whatever, right? Now, once LeBron and AD come back and Drummond is an added piece, they should complement each other to an extent. However, there is something you got to worry about though. I cannot think of a team that had a tremendous rebounder on it, like a regular, traditional rebounding center, and he didn't have to adjust for LeBron. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to figure out how it's going to work because AD fits with LeBron because AD's more in the high post. Drummond is more of a low post guy. So, as we all know, LeBron tends to be a guy that takes it to the cup a lot, right? So how is Drummond going to fit in that? Like, I'm trying to figure that out now. Like, because Cleveland, remember when LeBron went to Cleveland, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, he eventually became like a stretch almost. Zydrunas Ilgauskas used to be a guy that he was a jump shooting center, but he was like a regular center. You know what I'm saying? Played some high post, low post, could shoot from you know I would say like around the foul line maybe. But then playing with LeBron James, remember Ilgauskas started shooting more and more from outside to the point where when he was with Miami before he retired, he was shooting threes. Kevin Love, the same thing. Kevin Love was a beast, right? And now all of a sudden, he had to be a stretch four. But he had that shooting ability. Chris Bosh was a power forward, 24 and 10, used to stand more in the post, could shoot the mid range, and he had to change his game to adapt to LeBron. I'm just thinking, I can't think of a team with a guy like Drummond playing alongside LeBron James. That's something that people aren't really bringing up. I'm sure the Lakers will try to figure something out here, but I could see some struggles. I could see some struggles with, you know, as far as spacing. But I guess it'll work out. But some of you guys think.